we've got Patrick Rivera. Sawadee Cup, Pat.
Swadee. Thanks very much for having me, Bundi. We're here in beautiful Stockton, California at Valor Fight Sports. This is our main branch. Been here about 15 years now. It should be 4, but now 3 branches. Just one right down the street about 5 miles away and another one about 30 miles away in Sacramento area.
Mate, let's just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Your Muay Thai story, Patrick. How did you get into Muay Thai? How did you discover Muay Thai?
Always been in the martial arts since 1979, especially growing up here in Stockton, California. Real kind of rough and tumble, blue-collar town. Maybe not even sometimes blue-collar. It's a pretty rough town. It's one of the highest crime rates in the United States per capita, unfortunately, but a lot of really, really good people. Trained throughout martial arts, and then when I was in my 20s, I actually moved out to the Philippines. And you know, I was going to med school out there in the Philippines when I was in my mid-20s, and I had a buddy that was going to med school in Khon Kaen in Isan. And so I went over to, started going back and forth to visit Thailand back in the mid-90s.
What year was this, Pat?
It was like 1995.
So it was the housing, like, once again, everyone bit that bug, that 1990s bug, everything like that. That's the halcyon day of Muay Thai.
100%. Yeah, it was crazy back then. Yeah. Really freaking crazy. I mean, obviously, we don't all know the golden era fighters back then, but yeah, it was. And I didn't know who any of these. There was no internet or anything like that. I just, you know, remember going into the Lumpini, and it was just outrageous, right?
Was that Lumpini back in the 90s?
Oh yeah, back in the 90s. It was crazy, man.
Wow.
So, you know, that's where it all, you know, basically that was my introduction to it, and I started training at a small gym in Khon Kaen. Just, you know, kind of like a garage gym type of thing.
In Thailand?
In Thailand, yeah.
What was that? I mean, what was that like? Was it just all ties, wasn't it?
It was all ties. Yeah, it was all ties. It was just nothing fancy. You know, it was just hitting the bag, you know, hitting the pads. Khon Kaen now is pretty developed. I don't know if you've been up there lately, but back then there really wasn't much up there. Yeah. But not many people spoke English. Bangkok, there were. I mean, obviously, so it's like now. I mean, it wasn't like now, obviously, 30 years ago, but yeah, there was always a number of people that spoke English.
But your martial arts background, what was that? What was it? So
growing up in California and also in Hawaii, right? There's Asians everywhere, as you already know. There's Asians everywhere. It's a huge melting pot, and in every corner, in every garage, there's somebody teaching martial arts. So it's kind of dabbling in this, in everyone's garages, and then one day, actually, a buddy of mine took me to a karate dojo down the street. Yeah. Like just about 1.5 miles away from here. And it was, I think, $29 a month. And it was very expensive for my family. My dad was probably making
$29 a month.
$29 a month.
Back in the day, that was
a lot.
Yeah.
And my dad's salary was like $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
You know, back then. You know what I mean? In 1979.
Wow.
Yeah. So my parents couldn't afford it. But you know, it was totally different than, and this is actually part of my commercial journey as well. You know, just going back into 1979, because it was my introduction to a commercial dojo. It wasn't a McDojo. Actually, this was Renbukai before I went into Kaju Kembo. Yeah. So Renbukai is it's, I guess, a harder traditional martial arts from Japan. My former instructor, Ron Marchini, was a former competitor and competed competitively with Chuck Norris back in the so he was the Black Belt Hall of Fame back in the 60s or something like that. Anyways, that was a long time ago. But that was the background. Then I went into Kaju, which is more of a Hawaiian blend of Kempo. Kaju's karate, judo, Kempo, and boxing. Okay, right? So and they had some Eskrima in there. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that's where basically it started, and I had a solid background in that, and it helped keep me out of trouble for a little bit. Yeah. I still got in trouble, unfortunately, but and that's another reason. I think it goes back to the story why I came back to Stockton. You know, growing up here, I knew that that kids out here needed an opportunity to channel their energy. Yeah. Right? A lot of good people, but because, you know, a lot of these kids don't have, you know, their parents are working so hard, there's no one watching these kids, and these kids end up just falling prey to gangs and what have you.
The idle hands is the devil's playground. Yeah. They just need an outlet.
Yeah, they just need an outlet. And I knew that we needed to really come back and help this community. You know, that was really my drive after living around the world and being successful in various industries. And I said, you know, I'm coming back here. And everyone thought I was nuts. Yeah. Everyone thought I was nuts.
And that's when you brought Muay Thai back with you? Or when did you come back to Stockton?
So I came back in Stockton in 2010, 2011. I moved away from Stockton in 1989.
Oh shit! So
so I had trouble with you know, like not hanging out with the right people and,
Of course.
you know, doing the bad things, of course. And so I need to just remove myself from that environment.
Yeah.
And I did. And then, you know, like I said, I ended up, you know, getting a little more straight, more focused, found myself living in another country. It was a huge learning experience for me moving to Asia. So I traveled all over Asia and you know, back in the mid-90s, and it really helped open my eyes and make me the man who I am today, right? It created that base and that foundation.
Do you think that's important to leave your comfort zones and to find out more about yourself, to be more self-aware about yourself?
100%, you know, 100%, especially back then when I was really trying to search for a deeper meaning to self, especially, you know, you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
And I did. And, you know, it was humbling because, you know, you come from this and you're sitting there complaining that, you know, you complain about the things that you don't have, and then you go to the Philippines and Thailand and what have you, and you see that people really don't have.
Yeah.
You know, and what you have, and it just, you know, I put it this way: I went there a boy, I came back a man, 100%, 100%. It was just eye-opening and humbling.
What was it that you love about Muay Thai that drew you to the sport of Muay Thai?
You know what I tell everybody about Muay Thai is, it's like espresso. You know what I mean? It'll work for everybody. You know, it works for everybody, regardless of who you are. It doesn't take forever. You drink an espresso and bam, you have automatic effects, right? And that's the same thing with Muay Thai. You know, training in other arts, it seemed to take much longer, that trajectory. And I'm not quite sure why that was. I don't think that was just trying to weed people out or something like that. But in Muay Thai, what I found is it was very straight to the point. But it wasn't only not just the self-defense perspective. It was more just everything. You know, the culture, the atmosphere, just everything. Everything about Muay Thai was very, very attractive to me, appealing to me.
Yeah.
And so, and just like anybody else, I mean, it's just, you start with that first time you're hitting pads, maybe the first time you start learning how to spar, you get that sense of elation, you get that sense of confidence. And that's what I say about our businesses here. And I tell our instructors, you know, when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them I sell the gift of confidence, because everybody suffers from some type of insecurity.
Yes.
You know, regardless of their age, race, gender, socioeconomic status, people suffer in some shape or form these demons that attack us.
Yes.
And that's insecurity. And so what we do in here, you're starting with kids as young as 4 years old, is we help develop their confidence early on. But we have people that are in their 50s, 60s that are coming to us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, you see a lot of people in their 30s and 40s that are broken, and they come in here and they find community, and they find, and I hate to say it, their savior, in the sense that they are, you know, they found themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
I always talk about how Muay Thai, I always say Muay Thai saved my life, which it did. It gave me the courage to take the leap, to follow my dreams, follow my purpose, and it gave me purpose as well. So, I mean, that's what you're selling. You are selling exactly what I am. It's a drug. I am high. What I'm doing right now, like I just told you before, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. I've never felt so alive in my whole life. I'm 55 and I feel so alive. Yeah. And I'm doing my dream. I'm traveling the world, interviewing wonderful people like yourself. Yeah. But it's not about me. No, it's about. It is. But it's about Muay Thai and how we, we only met 2 years ago. Yeah. We see each other on Facebook. We might text each other or something like that. But when we're together, it's that sense of belonging. It's like a brotherhood. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't see you often, but when we do see each other, bang, it's straight back into mucking around and joking and that brotherhood, like a family, which 100%, I love.
100%.
Which I love.
You know, it's that community. It's that, and that's, you know, it absolutely. I thank you for sharing me, because that's exactly what everyone says, right? Everyone speaks praises across the world about how powerful, you know, Muay Thai has been. So, and that's been also my drive now to help, you know, spread the word, right, so to speak.
But your love of Muay Thai obviously has brought you to where you are now. You're the head of the WBC, the Muay Thai USA division. But I want to talk about something that's very special to me. Yeah. I competed in it the other day, and very special to you. And I think this is the reason, and I told you the first day I met you, if Muay Thai is to grow worldwide, America has to take the mantle. Yeah. But mate, that's your vision as well. The MDL, the Muay Thai Development League. How did that start? What was that? What was the vision there? Yeah.
So prior to coming on board with WBC, I was with USA Muay Thai, the United States Muay Thai Federation. under IFMA, under the International Federation of Muay Thai Associations. And we were competing, we were competing around the world. And in one year, I think it was 2015, 2016, it was the first time they separated the youth from the adults. Yeah. And it was huge. It was huge. So we brought the first youth team out there. It was like maybe 20, 25 kids. I forgot exactly how many we had from all across the United States, the best kids out there. Yeah. And we go out there and, we had, the nicest uniforms and what have you. But we're also hearing stories from those that have competed at IFMA and also coached at IFMA about how difficult it was at IFMA to win, because a lot of these countries are so much more far advanced, better than us and what have you. So we brought these 20 kids, 25 kids or whatever it was. And basically, long story short, most of the kids did not medal. I think we ended up getting maybe 2 medals. There was one from this gym here. Yeah. Or she gold medaled. And I think we got 3 medalists that year. So 1 gold, 1 silver and a bronze from our gym. Yeah. From three youth fighters that particular year. USA did not have that reputation of being a powerhouse at all. And they were, if anything, were considered sort of a laughingstock. And everybody wanted to draw them. Everyone wanted to draw, just like certain other countries, everyone wanted to draw the USA on the first draw. Step up. Yeah, they knew that it would be easy to just roll through them, right? And so then, I sat back and I started, watching the tournament, and I started watching how other kids around the world fought. One country that really stuck out was one area that stuck out was the UK. The English kids were just off the hook. And I was talking to one of the coaches, and one of the coaches said, in England, under 16, if you're under 16 years old, you cannot hit the head. There's no head contact. Yeah. And so I'm watching it, and I already had this theory before, and that's a whole nother story. But I was watching these kids, and I watched how balanced they were, how they had bilateral movement, the left side, right side. They weren't just strong side dominant. They were elevation changing. Yeah. Their clinch was gorgeous. They were composed. They were smooth. Yeah. They were really, really smooth. And I always knew that they were so much far advanced because of, back in the day with Master Toddy and Master Woody back in the 70s. And then all of a sudden, a lot of other Thai trainers coming out, and a lot of then UK fighters going to Thailand, right? So I knew that they were a lot more advanced than us. But then to me, really the big kicker to me, at least to me, was the fact they didn't do head contact until they were 16. Everyone just said it was because of the trainers. Well, everybody else in the world has Thai trainers. Yes. Australia doesn't. They're quite good. Yeah. France always had. France is obviously one of the best countries out there. But they started way, even probably a little bit before England, right? Yeah. So to me, what stood out is the way that these kids, had certain attributes that nobody else had. Of course, the Kazakhstan kids, had a very nice, fast kickboxing style. Russian kids just hit hard and they powerhouse through everybody. But in terms of technicality, I did not see it from any other country, except for Thailand, obviously. Yeah. Except for the UK, or the UK is not a country, but that particular region. Yes. Right. So I thought about that on the plane ride back, and I thought about how all the American kids, what we thought were the best in America, really didn't fare so well out there, with some exceptions. And so I talked to my friend, he's the current president of USA Muay Thai, and said, we got to do something about this, right? And so I went around, I started looking at what kids competitions had in here in California and around the United States. And the reason that we went to this was that it was so difficult to find competition for our kids, because we had some very, very high level kids at the time. And so we'd have to go to Arizona, to Iowa, to New York, to Florida. So we had to travel all over, and which can be very cost prohibitive. Anyways, so I said, okay, well, let me see what everyone else is doing. And at that time, there's another organization that's out there, and they had their semi-contact type of format. And so I attended one. This is before the inception of the MDL, and prior to that, the progenitor was the YDL, the Youth Development League, because the focus was on youth. Yeah. So I'm watching this competition. It's down in San Diego. It's actually at my friend's gym, and there are 2 kids across from each other. Now, it's not in a ring. It's on a matted area. Yes. Okay. And they're across from each other. One kid looks like about 10 or 11 years old, tall. He's from a well-known MMA gym down in San Diego. The kid had worn-out Hayabusa shin guards, worn-out gloves, knew how to wrap his own hands. And on the opposite corner, you could tell it was some kid training out of his dad's garage.
Yeah.
He had his, you know, kind of a boxing stance, arms pulled down to his ribs, you know, boxing headgear, and much smaller, much younger, probably 9 years old, probably about maybe 15 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
Okay. Ring the bell. Kids come out. The bigger kid just pummels and beats the crap out of this younger, smaller kid, less experienced kid.
Yeah.
Grabs his head, just clinches the shit out of him. Excuse my fucking language. You know, it hurt me as being a father. And I'm screaming. I'm saying, stop this, stop this, stop this. At the same time, that kid's friends from that MMA gym are saying, oh, yeah, you're fucking him up, you're fucking him up. And, you know, to me, I'm sitting there and it pains me as a father. You know why? Because, and as a martial artist, because as martial artists, we're supposed to protect the weak, right?
Yeah.
Now you fuck this kid up. You traumatize him, not only you physically abuse this fucking child, but now he's traumatized. He's mentally fucked up. He's gonna hate Muay Thai for life, right? And he's gonna always be, you know, soft and insecure unless, you know, something changes, right? But that was wrong. That was totally wrong. I was pissed. I walked out, okay? And I said, I gotta do something about this. We gotta do something about this. And since I was with an organization at the time, I said, you know what? Let's take a lead on this. And so we created the YDL, the Youth Development League, which was focused on just kids at the time. And we did the very first one, I think it was April 27th, 2017 in San Francisco, California, at Jongsanan's gym, at Gilbert Melendez's gym in the city. It was huge. It took off, and it took off like crazy. And all within a short period of time, we're now in Chicago, Arizona, San Diego, New York, you know, we're Honolulu. We're all over the country. And by the time COVID hit, we went from 0 participants to about 5,000.
Wow.
Right? Which is huge, right? Because the kids program anywhere in the world tends to be the smallest. Right? So that took off. That really took off. And then COVID hit, right? And then COVID hit. So let me backtrack real quick. When I was with USA Muay Thai, I said, you know, their whole big push was to go into the Olympics, what have you. And I said, okay, this is great, but you know, in order to get there, we have to really build a following. We have to build a deeper understanding of what this is. So with the YDL, you know, it's E-class. That's what the MDL is. When we say E-class, it's education class. Because 99.9% of the world does not know what fucking Muay Thai is. Excuse my language. You know what I mean?
That's okay. It's an Australian show. And
they do not know what Muay Thai is. They think they know what Muay Thai is. And so, you know, the whole thought of this is that not only are you training the athletes, but you're training the coaches, you're training the officials, you're training the parents, you're training the spectators, right? So that now this is what's going to grow it organically. It's not a new show. It's not the Olympics. It's not a new fucking tournament. It's not even a belt. I'm going to just say that. If you're not growing it from the grassroots, you got it totally fucking wrong. And I'll give you various examples with Major League Baseball and NFL and some of the most lucrative sports franchises in the world, right? I said to myself, okay, we have to grow this thing. You know, we got to get this exposure. So I, you know, on my own dime and in my own time, traveled all over the United States to help, you know, spread the word. And, you know, suddenly now we had from 50 people to 60 to 70 to 100 to 150, right? The MDLs right now are capped at 200. We don't want more than 200. I don't want more than 200 because the safety of the athletes suffer. But going back, what I'd realize is that, okay, this was growing, but a lot of gyms simply did not know how to teach kids, how to work with kids. You know, it's just like, okay, sort of my experience in Isan, right? You just throw them out there and you don't know what the hell you're doing and you just get your ass beat. If you look at most gyms, you know, their kids program, they just lump everybody together, not like our program. So it's very age specific, and I follow basically the school's curriculum in terms of categorizing kids based on their age and their learning ability. Most gyms just put everybody together from 7 years old to 12 years old. That's the difference between a kindergartner and some kid that might be going into junior high school. There's a vast difference in terms of like mental capabilities, intellect, as well as physical, right? 100%. And that's where I said, okay, let me teach people what we're doing. And so I created the Muay Thai Youth Academy with the president of USA Muay Thai. We created the Muay Thai Youth Academy. We had about 30 coaches from all across the United States, and also I think we had some people come from Canada and Latin America. Some I can't recall, and also Bermuda, Bermuda and Honolulu. So that was the very first one that we did out here, and it was a massive success. It was a 3-day intense course. where we really broke down on how to work kids and their age specific. So the whole thought was now we start from that age, let them learn a love for the sport, and then they go into the MDL. Well, then I realized a lot of these gym owners are capped out at maybe 40, 50 fighters, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe they got 15, 20 fighters and 30 wannabe fighters, you know, type of thing, right?
Yes.
And they show their Instagram or Facebook, if their place is full, but it's only one class with the same people every single night. Yeah. And so I said, you know what? That's when I created the Muay Thai Business Academy. We call it the MBA. And that took off like crazy, right? And so now we taught people how to make money, right? So they let them understand. And so friend Matt Lucas and I told Matt, I said, you know, look, it's our responsibility to get the word out, because in the United States, people are still thinking that it's the fucking Shaolin monks out here, right? That, with you know, whatever. I said, no, it's a fucking goddamn sport. And sport is all about money. At the highest professional level, it's all about your money. Dollar bill, y'all, 100%. Right? So we had to bring that home. And so what happened is now you went from, you know, taking guys that were barely paying rent to now making six figures. Right? Now with the six figures, now they implement a kids program. Now this kid program, so it now became this relationship, this funnel. You know, and this is where it started. And that's why I said, we're going to dominate the world. I mean, we're going to dominate the world. Within the next 5 to 10 years, we will destroy everybody around us. Look at what we're doing to the Brazilians in jiu-jitsu right now. You know, it's just a no-brainer, right? Just the level of talent, the level of diversity, the level of, just a sheer population, just a numbers game, right? But now we just have to, now we've created an ascension. We've created a structure, an infrastructure that nobody in the world has. Nobody in the world has this infrastructure. And this is a decades-long process that we've created that's all now culminating into this, right? That's now bearing fruit. And it's now very, very powerful. The machine is just a juggernaut, man. It's just steamrolling through. So we created this MBA. And then what happened is 3 months after the very first Muay Thai Youth Academy, and shortly after the first MBA, everyone's asking, when are you going to do another Muay Thai Youth Academy? So we did one only 5 months later. We had 55 people come from all over the United States and the world.
The IDL was only in the one area, so everyone heard about it and just came.
Yeah. And then so they were also sending their instructors to now get additional training. You know what I mean? Because they realized, whoa, shit, there's nothing like that. And it is such a powerful piece, because if you look at the average retention of a lot of gyms, okay, martial arts schools, the average retention is like 3 months, 3 to 6 months, then people quit, right? Especially if they're in one of the old school gyms. People can't hang with that. It's especially that style. Ours right now is about 15 months, and we're working on about a 24-month attrition. But if you look at karate and taekwondo schools, they start these kids at 7 years old, and maybe they quit when they're 14 years old. They have them on a 7-year journey. So ultimately, that's what we're currently working on, is now creating more of a long-term.
I was at the Outgrow branch and have a system. You know, have a program, a year programs like level 1 and level 2 and everything. And that the way I was seeing it, it's like it gives people purpose. It gives people a goal and the light at the end of the tunnel. You're not just going in there and hitting pads, and you're trying to progress. And I think that's in all of us, in all humans, we want to progress. So you've tapped into something beautiful there. Did that just grow organically, or did you have that in mind?
So I took the example of jiu-jitsu, right? So I started jiu-jitsu, I'm like a 30-year white belt. You know what I mean? And I started training in Corey and Gracie's garage in Corona Del Mar, Newport Beach, 1992 or something like that.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, it was something crazy, right? Throughout the years, you know, rolling with different people up until recently, you know, jiu-jitsu recently has become a lot more structured over the last decade. But prior to that, it was just everyone just teaching whatever they want to teach, right? So that's come jiu-jitsu schools were so small. Now jiu-jitsu schools are huge because of the systems that were created in the United States. So I started watching, you know, and a lot of it was because they attended these business seminars through Taekwondo and karate instructors. You know what I mean? So they started just extrapolating that information. That's exactly what I did with Muay Thai. At that time, there was nobody. And all those guys were laughing at me like, Muay Thai, you're not going to make any money off of that. All that is punches and kicks and elbows and knees. You know, you don't have any katas, you don't have all this other stuff. They had no idea, right? They had no idea. If I'm not learning shit, and I'm not a dumbass person, you know what I mean? Then the system's wrong. There's no systems. It's not Thailand. It's just hitting the pad. Like I said, I didn't learn shit in Thailand back then. And even now they're used to working with Falang, right? They're used to working with foreigners. But back then it was just, And even when before Phuket exploded, when it was just tigers, just, hungover, just make you tired. You know what I mean? So things have changed. And I think even the Thais understand the economics of this. So much so that the TAT, the Tourism Authority of Thailand, which we work closely with, now recognizes it as a soft power of the country, just like cuisine, like food, right? So it's very powerful. In February, I think it was in 2018, we had like 55 instructors come out here to go through that program, right? And then I stopped doing that for a while because I just got so busy doing other things. But we still continued. People were still asking us to do the Muay Thai Business Academy, right? MBA. We ended up converting it to the Muay Thai Business Summit. And then we did, like 2 weeks before COVID shut down, we did one in Elk Grove, right? And we had about 30 or 40 people there from all across the country. Pete Peterson was there. We had the Easton guys from Denver out there. We had Mark DeBusso from San Francisco. We had Jonathan Pu'u. We had, guys from New York, from Florida, everywhere. I mean, everywhere that came out to really partake in it because there was just so much knowledge. And then what we ended up doing was, as we started breaking out of COVID, doing one in Houston. We ended up doing one in Chicago. We ended up doing one in New York. We ended up doing one in Venice, Italy. We ended up doing one in Hua Hin, Thailand. And we're probably going to do one in Bangkok at the convention.
When are you going to bring one to Australia, bro?
You know what? I mean, so we've invited a couple of Aussies before. And I don't know how open-minded they are, but I do see a lot of Aussie schools like Nakia Wright, kind of came from Brian Dobler, who was my former business partner with Phuket Muay Thai, who has a very structured program as well. So we're starting to see more structure in the Australian scene. But now in the United States, because of those seeds that we planted, back, 7 years ago, right? Now it's really starting to, like I said, grow and bear fruit.
Like I remember seeing in Bangkok, you guys were good. You guys are very good.
Yeah.
But this year at Verona, come second, you guys were outstanding.
What I did with WBC is, what I had recognized, the trend in terms of when I was formerly with another organization, was that, and other countries do it too, they will have a national qualifier to take to their international team. The law with that is that does not take into account performance over time. And it's very vulnerable to special favors for friends.
Yeah, I see. I know what you mean.
They may not qualify. And so what ended up happening is it's ended up being the same gyms, taking everybody internationally.
Muay Thai nepotism.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100% exactly what it is. 100% Muay Thai nepotism.
Yeah.
And some of them rightfully so, and some of them not. You know what I mean? Some of them, belong there, and some of them not. But it didn't. It excluded everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And so it really didn't grow outside of these pockets, outside of the East Coast, West Coast, right? New York, LA, San Francisco, right? Which is, the hubs. But it did not take into account, the Midwest, the Southwest, the Pacific Northwest, the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic states. America's huge, 350 million people, right? Huge geography. And so I said, the other thing that's flawed with having a national qualifier is not only does it not take into account progression over time or performance over time, in a tournament, in just a regular fight, in any fight, there's so many factors that can affect your performance on any given day. Right? So you could have your mom could have died the previous day. You hear that all the time. Maybe you had a bad weight cut. Maybe you got injured during your camp. Whatever, all these different factors that may not be your best performance. And then you're going into a tournament scene and maybe whatever, you rolled your ankle or something along that line or whatever, right? Or maybe you went through eliminations, you went to the semifinal, the quarterfinals and the semis, and then you go into, the finals, but then you're so burnt out by the time you get to the finals that it really isn't an indication of who you are. So I said, here, listen, if we're really going to truly scour where the talent is in the United States, why don't we open this up? Instead of having one person per division, let's have 4 and front load it so that they're fighting another country. But if they progress and they have to fight another American, so be it. That really is the best one. And what that's allowed us to do in over 6 tournaments since Hua Hin, Thailand, is really create this database of who all the fighters are and who all the coaches are all across the country. We also made it inclusive. we now we mentored these coaches on how to teach internationally. We taught them what are the various styles of different countries, what to look for, right? And so now this level of exposure, you know, some people first, they laugh, they said, oh, you know, those guys don't qualify. What are you doing? I said, you know what? They're going to learn.
Yeah.
You either win or you learn. And what did they do? They fucking went back and they took all that information and stuff that all of our thoughts and our decades of experience, bringing it and teaching them, mentoring them. And now their communities are getting better. Their gyms are getting better. Their fighters are getting better. And that's why I'm telling you, man. I mean,
that's why the sport's growing here in this country. Then,
oh my God. And like I said, there's a deeper and deeper understanding.
Yeah.
And then you couple it with the MDL. And now you have this endless supply because 99.9% of the people in the world that train Muay Thai are beginners. Or the 99.9% that don't train in Muay Thai are not even beginners, right? So the more people that are exposed to it, even if they never get beyond MDL, they now know what the sport is. People that know me, but you know, then there's a lot of people that know of me, but they really don't know all of this backdrop story. And it's important because once they understand the why behind it, they understand the why we're doing this, right? It's not a money grab. It's not anything except for to help grow the sport and also keep athletes safe. First and foremost, keep athletes safe, right? Because as far as this progression that we've made so far with the athletic state commissions all across the United States, once someone dies, we're going to go back to the dark ages, 100%. So Muay Thai was banned in so many states for so many years. Right? Another reason that we're so far behind. But again, because of the lack of understanding of what true Muay Thai is. Going back to the example of Major League Baseball and the NFL, and this is a perfect example. And now when I tell this example to everybody in the United States, they fucking get it, right? People have gotten it. You know, it took, you know, again, 10 years to really speak about this and speak the gospel of this format. If you look at MLB about a decade ago, Major League Baseball noticed a decline in attendance at all the stadiums. And they said, you know what? We need to infuse some money to really start marketing to the grassroots. And that has to start with the youth. But they pumped about $60 or $70 million in this campaign into kids that were 13 years and above. But in any sport in the world, if you're gonna play in competitive sports, whether that be swimming, soccer, football, baseball, volleyball, you have to be playing since you were 7, 8 years old. Right? No question about it. So they wasted their money. Fast forward a decade later, if you go to any suburb in the United States, whether that be, you know, Champaign, Illinois, whether that be Dubuque, Iowa, whether that be, you know, Clearwater, Florida, or Honolulu, Hawaii, you're going to see these signs, these flag signs that say NFL, flag, football. Okay? No head contact whatsoever. I mean, the deleterious effects of repeated head contact, okay, the trauma is well documented. You know, well documented. And people know that. People are smarter these days. And that's why there was less people playing football, right? So they pump money into the youth and flag football. And in fact, now in the Olympics, there's women's flag football. You still can have learn the fundamentals of the game. You still play the game. You still pass the ball. You run with the ball. You still block, right? But instead of tackling somebody, you just pull the flags. And I said, you know, so that's a very, very good case in point, right? And that's exactly what the MDL is. So once you have people playing in the sport, participating in the sport, they feel included. It's not just some fringe, you know, sport of society, right? You know, that only certain people can do, right? I mean, even if you look at boxing, you know, and keep this in mind too, in Thailand, the high show people, the middle class and the high class people frown upon Muay Thai.
They do.
You know, it's mafia. It's, you know, it's the provinces. You know, it's not for them until recent years, right? Until recent years, where now they start seeing the fitness aspects. They start understanding how the rest of the world is starting to see this as a sport, and also with the advent of amateur rules. So important to have the amateur aspect into this sport. And now now the sport's helping really explode because now they're creating real rule sets and following the rule sets and abiding by them, right? So whereas, you know, Muay Thai is affected, you know, traditional Muay Thai, 90s Muay Thai, 2000s Muay Thai, 2010 Muay Thai, 2020s Muay Thai is affected by gambling. You know, of course, now you've got RWS and you've got One Lumpini that's not affected by the gamblers. But again, traditionally, that's exactly what it is. And that's why it's been frowned upon. But if you look at various sports, you look at boxing, you know, everyone thinks, oh, Philippines is the boxing nation. And all the Filipinos say, boxing. but the only boxer they know is Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Because none of them want to go to the slums and box. Same thing with Mexicans. Now, Mexicans are a different story, but for the most part, you know, for the most part, it's just in, you know, and same thing it's in the United States. It's in the inner cities, you know what I mean, where people really don't want to go to train.
Yeah.
But now if you start bringing this to the suburbs, now you expose this to a lot more people.
Yeah.
And you tap into this wealth of talent that you never knew existed.
Yeah.
And especially if there is infrastructure, right? And there's an ascension.
Yeah.
And there's an opportunity to go from here to here. And they can see a clear path. And it starts with curriculum.
That's the thing that I'm most impressed about, that I'm seeing, is the education. Show Muay Thai, you know, the 3 rounds, smaller gloves. That's bringing the people's eyes to the sport. And you've gone, yeah, it's bringing the eyes, but it's bringing meatheads as well to the sport. The way we do it is education.
Yeah.
When you educate someone into the sport, like the systems, like the fundamentals. Yeah. There's that longevity. There's the fan. You've got the fan for life.
Yep.
And that will be a fan for life. So yeah, mate. And then it just rolls on. The money comes.
Yep.
Once you have the fans, that's your money. That's your money base. Then the money will come. Then these professional fighters at the top have got something to aim for, and they can earn money
100%. Instead
of being fucking part-time.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. They can earn real money, and the only way to do that, see, and that's the thing, is that every promoter in the world, right? Every promoter in the world are dependent on ticket sales. Everybody is. So same thing with any sport, you know, any concert, you know, dependent on ticket sales. But people aren't going to watch it if they're just watching a bunch of crappy fights. Yeah. You know, more often than not, if the people that do attend those are people that are just homies of their homie.
Yes,
right?
yes, they're friends of friends. That's right. You always see that.
Janky ass promotions, they have fighters that are, you know, 1-5 and fighting for a title belt, right?
Yeah.
Their title promotional belt that's worthless, right? It's because they understand that person may, you know, but the first fight they might have sold 50 tickets.
Yeah.
Second fight they might have sold 30 tickets. Third fight they sell 15 tickets.
Yeah.
Right. And so then the next fight, you know, less and less. And then so what happens is now they have 5 fights. So then the promoter will say, oh, well, he sold 50 tickets on his first fight.
Yeah.
Let's get him another one. He's not battle tested.
He's not,
he hasn't deserved that. He doesn't deserve a well-deserved title.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't meet certain criteria.
Yeah.
Right. And if you look at the criteria of the WBC for a title fight, there are certain minimums. In the United States, we had to create a certain standard. For a national title, you have to have at least 15 sanctioned Muay Thai fights.
Yes.
For a national amateur fight, amateur title. The same applies for pro now, right? Although we're taking into consideration the total amount of fights rather than just the number of pro fights. Yeah. Because the United States is a very heavy amateur. We have a very heavy amateur scene. I was talking to my friends Kieran Walsh and Aram, you know, from Australia. Yeah. And they were talking about how a lot of Aussies just turned pro right away. There's not really an amateur scene, but they're making $100. You know what I mean, on their first fight, whatever. And that's, you know, that's not really. You can't really do that here simply because of state commissions. And so if you look at it, one of the things that, you know, that's challenging is creating a ranking, right? That's what some of the big claim to fame for the WBC is the credibility of our ranking system.
Yes, yeah.
So we have our international ranking system, and we were one of the first countries to launch a national ranking system outside of Thailand, outside of the international title ranking. The difficulty and the challenge, Bundy, was that you might have pros, we might have 100 pros total, maybe 100, 120 pros, men and women at all divisions, pro. For an amateur, you're looking at an estimated 10 to 15,000, right? So what we're trying to do here is this. If we want 1,000 pros, if we have 1,000 pros, we'll dominate the world.
Yes.
The only way to 10x our current pros is to 10x our current amateurs.
Yeah.
So if we have 10,000 amateurs, we need 100,000 amateurs. Yeah. And the only way to 10x 100,000 amateurs is to 10x 1 million participants to the MDL.
Yeah. So it's the pyramid. You want the pyramid to be a proper pyramid foundation, and then you pick. You don't want an upside down pyramid. Then that's fucking perfect.
Look at American sports, most competitive arenas in the world. Yeah, right? And it's big fucking money, right? Big fucking money. Everybody plays football out. Everybody plays baseball. Just on Thanksgiving, playing in your front yard, playing on the beach, whatever. They're not going to go pro.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to get tackled.
Huh?
It's participate.
And then, like you said, I mean, the way, what I see the MDL is doing is making more participants, which are going to be true fans to the day they die.
Yeah.
And like I said, like we talked about, it's just a snowballing.
It's a participation and also education. You look at UFC, okay? Before Joe Rogan came on board, and Dana before these guys took over, it was just a free for all, right? It was a spectacle that actually became first it was like amusing, and then it became gross.
Yeah.
Right? Ubad, they say in Thailand. Ubad. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like, ugh. And then what happened is they created a sport out of it. They created divisions.
Yeah.
They made athletes instead of fighters. But what really helped was Joe Rogan understanding what the sport was. So that the casual viewer understood what was going on in the ground game.
Yeah.
Remember before when they were on the ground, everyone would boo.
Yeah.
But now, you know, they understand, okay, he's taking side control.
Yeah.
Okay, he's really going to try to get that leg and try to do a half mount, then he's going to move to a full mount, and then he can, you know, ground and pound and blah, 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 blah. Right? That's what really helped shape the UFC to become the biggest, you know, combat sport in the world.
Yes.
Right? Without question. And, you know, not only participation, but money. My point is that it's the level of education. When people understand what's happening, Mundi, if you look at, you know, United States obviously is a very sports motivated nation. If you watch on Sundays, they have the PGA Tour golf, right? And it's on for like 7 hours on TV, and people are like, "What the fuck are you watching?" Yeah. But if you know the game of golf and you know how cerebral it is and how intense it really is and the pressure, then you watch it. Baseball.
Same again.
If you're an Aussie, if you're an Englishman, if you're a Mexican, if you're an Argentinian, if you're a Spaniard, if you're Thai, watching baseball on TV is like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
You don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But for an American that understands what's happening, they're like, oh, this is fucking, especially, you know, in you know, when they start, you know, when the conference finals and then finally the World Series, right? Yeah. It becomes intense. Why do I bring this up? So, you know, people think that the 3-rounders with the small gloves, nah, that's not happening, man. That just destroys careers. Then even with RWS, with Kun Bank, what they're doing, I think it's good. Right. It's got to be 5 rounds. It's not the number of knockouts. It's the level of education. When people understand that why 5 rounds is important, okay, outside of the gambling realm. If you're scoring every single round like it's true to it, then you have something really to score. 3 rounds to me is not enough to score a fight. No. Tournaments are good, but it's just enough for amateur experience. But for pro, it has to be at least 5 rounds. 5 rounds. Instead of changing the sport, educate everybody else. Yeah.
On that note, I just want to say that I think this sport is going to grow. Since I've been in 2 years, I've seen it grow like that. Yeah. It's important for us, the content creators. It's important for us to be promoting the sport. But what's more important is for people like you to educate the sport. You were talking about how Dana White and Joe Rogan have brought the UFC to be the best combat sport in the world. Yeah. I see the MDL and Patrick Rivera taking Muay Thai to be the best combat sport in the world.
Thank you.
I thank you for that, mate, and the rest of the world's got to be thanking you for that.
And through the WBC as well.
Yeah, and the WBC. Sorry, Kev. WBC too. Yeah. But it's important that like the grassroots got to come from here. Yeah. And I've said it to you, and I said the first day I met you, I said it. Yeah. If the sport is to grow outside of Thailand, the USA has to take the mantle and just run with it and bring the sport to the rest of the world. Yeah. And on that note, thank you so much, brother.
Awesome, bro.
Thank you.
That was good. Talk too much?
Not at all. That was good. I didn't have to ask any questions, bro.